It has been 17 years since 3-year-old Madeleine McCann went missing from her family's holiday apartment in the Ocean Club Resort in Praia da Luz, while her parents were just a short walk away, having dinner at a local restaurant. Her mysterious disappearance remains unsolved. Was she abducted by an unknown person, or did her disappearance involve her parents? For a long time, much of the public and the police harbored suspicions against Jerry and Kate McCann. Recently, a new suspect emerged, a German man named Christian Brueckner, who had been living in the area around the time Madeleine disappeared. However, he has yet to be charged with her kidnapping and was acquitted of unrelated offenses in Germany. While this doesn't prove his innocence, there is no direct evidence pointing to the real culprit, or is there? Today, we'll revisit the mysterious disappearance of Madeleine McCann to explore what most likely happened. Praia da Luz is a small yet charming resort town with a beautiful white sandy beach surrounded by cliffs near Lagos, Portugal. It boasts a Mediterranean climate, a welcoming family-friendly atmosphere, and numerous cafes and restaurants offering delicious food. It's no surprise that it is a popular holiday destination for many families. However, beneath its charming and homey atmosphere lies a dark history that continues to haunt some people in the community and even abroad. On April 28, 2007, 3-year-old Madeleine McCann went on a week-long summer holiday to Praia da Luz with her parents, Kate and Jerry McCann, both physicians from Rothley, Leicestershire, and her 2-year-old twin siblings, Sean and Amelie. The McCanns were joined by several friends who also brought their children. On May 3rd at 7 p.m., Kate and Jerry prepared their children for bed, reading a bedtime story to Madeleine while the twins slept in travel cots next to her bed. All 3 children were fast asleep. The window was closed. The couple left the bedroom door slightly ajar before leaving for dinner at a nearby tapas restaurant with their friends. The apartment remained unlocked as it had been on previous nights. The restaurant was about 50 meters from the Ocean Club complex, and the group had a system in place where a parent would check on the children every half hour. At 9 p.m., Jerry took his turn to check on the children and found everything seemingly fine, though he later recalled that the bedroom door was in a different position from when they left. At 9:15 p.m., Jane Tanner, another parent, walked past the McCann's apartment to check on her own children and reported seeing a man carrying a barefoot child in pajamas. At 9:30 p.m., Matthew Oldfield, another parent, checked on his children and offered to check on the McCann's children as well. He reported that everything was quiet. At 10 p.m., Kate went to check on the children and found the bedroom door wide open. Upon entering, she discovered the twins asleep, but Madeleine missing. She also noticed that the window was open and the shutters were up. Kate immediately alerted the other parents, restaurant staff, and authorities, and the search for Madeleine began. On May 4th, Portuguese police announced they believed Madeleine had been abducted, but was still alive and in Portugal. By May 14th, they named their first official suspect, Robert Murat, an Anglo-Portuguese man whose house was searched and associates questioned. He was later cleared. On August 4th, a Portuguese newspaper reported that British sniffer dogs had found traces of blood on a wall in the McCann's holiday apartment. By September, Madeleine's parents also became suspects after cadaver and blood-sniffing dogs alerted authorities to their rented car. Forensic teams reportedly found DNA samples in the trunk of the car, which had been rented 25 days after Madeleine's disappearance. Cell phone data showed the car had been used to travel west and north of Praia da Luz several times, including to Spain. The police theorized that Madeleine had accidentally died, and her parents buried her body, staging an abduction to cover it up. However, a UK lab ruled the DNA samples inconclusive, and the McCanns returned to England with their twins. In October, Chief Inspector Gonçalo Amaral was removed from the investigation after criticizing British police in an interview. He later published a book, The Truth of the Lie, suggesting the McCanns were responsible for Madeleine's disappearance. The investigation continued for 14 months before Portuguese authorities officially closed the case, declaring it unsolved. They admitted that some forensic evidence, including fingerprints and DNA, had been contaminated or lost. The McCanns and Murat were cleared as suspects, but the case remained open in the UK. In 2011, Scotland Yard announced a review of the investigation, followed by a request to reopen the case in 2012.
Words cannot describe the anguish and despair that we are feeling as the parents of our beautiful daughter Madeleine.
Every penny we raise through the sales of this book will be spent on our search for Madeleine. Nothing is more important to us than finding our little girl.
In 2013, they launched Operation Grange, a new investigation funded by the British Home Office, which has cost over £10 million. The team identified 600 persons of interest and 41 potential suspects. In 2014, British detectives searched areas near Praia da Luz, including scrubland close to where Madeleine disappeared, but found nothing of interest. By 2019, the investigation had narrowed to 3 burglars who were in the area at the time, and a series of child abuse cases in the Algarve involving a lone intruder. In June 2020, a prime suspect emerged, Christian Brueckner, a 43-year-old German prisoner serving time for drug smuggling and sexual offenses. Between 1995 and 2007, Brueckner had been living in Portugal's Algarve region, working odd jobs and burgling hotels and holiday apartments. At the time of Madeleine's disappearance, he was living in a white Valia camper van and driving a 1993 Jaguar XJR6, both seen near the Ocean Club. The day after Madeleine went missing, Brueckner transferred the registration of the Jaguar to someone else and left Portugal for Germany shortly after. Phone records placed him near the crime scene on the night of the disappearance. German police also linked him to 2 properties in the area, one just a 10-minute drive from Praia da Luz. Despite these revelations, Brueckner was only declared an official suspect. A search near the Array Dam Reservoir, which Brueckner reportedly called My Little Paradise, yielded nothing. In 2022, Brueckner was charged with 5 unrelated offenses in Portugal, including sexual assaults on women and children, but was acquitted due to insufficient evidence. He remains in prison for a 2005 rape in the Algarve and is set to be released in 2025. Time is running out for authorities to charge him with Madeleine's disappearance, but with no direct evidence, his guilt remains unproven. The McCanns were initially suspected by many, with critics accusing them of negligence and even suggesting they had given their children sleeping pills. Some theorized that Madeleine had accidentally overdosed, prompting her parents to stage an abduction. British sniffer dogs reportedly detected blood and cadaver scents in the McCanns' apartment and car, but DNA tests were inconclusive. The McCanns have maintained their innocence, pointing out the logistical challenges of hiding a body in a foreign country without a car. Madeleine was their miracle baby, conceived through IVF, making it unlikely they would harm her. Another theory is that Madeleine was kidnapped by a childless couple or criminals acting on behalf of a wealthy family. Witnesses reported suspicious individuals around the Ocean Club before her disappearance, but no evidence supports this theory. A more plausible theory is a burglary gone wrong, with a burglar panicking and abducting Madeleine. However, no evidence has been found to support this either. Based on the evidence, Madeleine's disappearance is strongly linked to Christian Brueckner, a known predator with a history of targeting young girls. Brueckner was familiar with the area and had the means to abduct Madeleine. He likely observed the McCann's routine and took advantage of the unlocked apartment. After abducting Madeleine, he may have transported her in his Jaguar to an unknown location where she was likely killed and buried. Brueckner's subsequent actions, including transferring his car's registration and fleeing to Germany, further suggest his involvement. However, without concrete evidence, the case remains unresolved. Madeleine's disappearance continues to haunt her family and the public. While Christian Brueckner is the most likely suspect, his guilt has not been proven. We can only hope that one day the truth will emerge, bringing closure to this tragic case. In February 2025, Julia Wendell, a 23-year-old Polish woman, asserted she might be Madeleine McCann, presenting DNA results indicating a 69.23% match with Jerry McCann, Madeleine's father.
No, I'm not trying to get attention. Even if I'm not Maddie, I could be another girl maybe, but I believe that I'm Maddie.
However, experts have questioned the validity of these results, and the McCann family has declined to provide DNA samples for verification. As we wrap up this journey into the mystery of Madeleine McCann's disappearance, we are left with more questions than answers. The case remains a haunting enigma, with fresh developments continually reshaping our understanding. From shocking DNA claims to the ongoing legal battles involving Christian Brueckner, the truth seems just out of reach. Authorities continue to follow every lead, but with each passing year, the shadows of doubt grow longer.
Kate's book will help the search both directly and indirectly. We'd like people to read the book. I think it puts everything that's happened to us in context, but more importantly, we want the public, and we're asking the public to help us find Madeleine.